virtual seminar on artificial intelligence. I would like to thank our management and our beloved principal for organizing this virtual power seminar in association with ICT Academy. To begin with, I would like to invite our beloved and respected principal, Dr. R. Rajesh. Sir, you merely require any introduction. We are all proud of you and your extensive hard work in the field of education. May we please have you, sir, for your welcome speech.
Thank you, Meenakshi Madam. Good morning to all. Respected our Chairman and Architect, our Managing Director and CFO and Architect, the coordinator of this ICT Act, Dr. Ramanan, Professor Meenakshi Madam, Director at Business Institute, Professor Gobakumar, and my dear faculties, my beloved friends, and the chief guest of today, Sri Leet Muralidharan. So, my dear friends, today we are organizing a guest lecture which we, in collaboration with the ICT Act, the title Artificial Intelligence. So, recently we have joined the ICT Act. So, through the ICT Act, we have benefited a lot. So, I thank that ICT Act coordinators, especially Mr. Rajkumar and all the officials for organizing more number of the programs in our institution. And another program is going on for the women empowerment. More than 100 girls from the different students of our RTET have participated. They have successfully completed the self-learning program, or the skill development program is going on. So in this fine morning, we are having a wonderful speaker, Mr. Leet Muralidharan. He is a pioneer in the field of artificial intelligence. He is a great motivator and he has rich experience to handle many number of the lectures, workshops and similar programs. So my dear friends, why this program is required? Why this artificial intelligence is needed? So we all are aware about that. Today we all are living in a digital world. So in order to strive and thrive in the digital world, it is very necessary, it is important, all the technocrats should study the emerging areas like the artificial intelligence, cyber security, then virtual reality, augmented reality, machine learning, etc., the blockchain, etc. So among the various emerging technology, artificial intelligence plays a very vital role. So recently you have known that the ICMR has approved that the home-based test for corona patients, corona identification. So this technology is purely based upon the artificial intelligence. So with the help of the artificial intelligence, we can easily evaluate whether we are having that coronavirus or not within a fraction of the second. Within 5 minutes, we can find out whether we are infected with the virus or not, thanks to the artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence is applicable in all the fields, not only computer science or electronics. Mostly artificial intelligence is used in the field of the civil engineering. Artificial intelligence is used in mechanical engineering. Artificial intelligence is used in electrical and electronic engineering. So with the help of the artificial intelligence, nowadays we are seeing that the machines are communicating with each other. So we have to develop lot of products with the help of the artificial intelligence. So very nice topic. Today we are having that wonderful guest speaker also. And in this August event, I also thank Professor Meenakshi Madam. She has spent her precious time with us on this fine morning. And also I thank Dr. Ramanan, who has coordinated this program in a nice way. And also I thank our guest speaker, Dr. Leet Muralidharan, and Rajkumar and all other officials from the ICT Act for organizing this kind of program for the betterment of our students. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir, for your kind words of welcome and nice introduction on artificial intelligence. If your action inspires others to dream more, learn more, and become more, you are a leader. At this point, I would like to attribute this proverb to our guest speaker because his valuable past makes him important today. It is a great honor for me to introduce our resource person, Mr. Leet Muralidharan, Senior Technical medical instructor, Flex Software Chennai. He is a seasoned education consultant with a total of 18 plus years of experience in IT industry, with 12 years of experience in consulting, designing, customizing, and delivering technical training on enterprise IT software platforms. He is experienced in working with customers across North America, Southeast Asia, Greater China, with a proven track record of developing, selling, and delivering education solutions, and has a solid track record of contributing to the implementation of major business transformation initiatives, directly leading to an increase in revenue and margin. We feel deeply honored with your presence, sir. We look forward to your presentation, sir. I'm handing over the session to our respected resource person, Mr. Dilip Muralidharan.
All right, let's see. Hopefully, I am audible.
Yes, audible, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Can everybody see the presentation that is being shared on the screen?
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay, excellent. Right, thank you. Right. Before getting started, I would request everybody to check their microphones on their Google Meet sessions and make sure that you're on mute so that I don't get distracted by any background noise from where you are. So, having said that, welcome everyone to a brief session on artificial intelligence. What I would like to do is I would like to, before I get started, give me 1 minute here. Before I get started, I'd like to be succinct and on point. So in the interest of that, I'm going to set my talk time to 50 minutes so that I do not utilize the next 1 hour. And I would like to utilize the last 10 minutes of this conversation for question and answers exclusively. So let's get started. So today we are going to discuss AI, or artificial intelligence. Now, what exactly are we going to discuss in AI? We are going to discuss what are all the past observations, what are all the current trends, and what are the future possibilities in AI. So before I get started, I would like to take a quick minute to thank everybody in ICT Academy for having put together this session. I would like to thank all the teaching, the non-teaching, the managerial, and the administrative staff of the college for having put together this session, and most importantly to the participants, the students who are spending their precious time today here with me for the next 48 and odd minutes. Now, let me give a very quick introduction of what my background is so that I can justify why I think I'm qualified to speak on this subject. I come from a heavy product-based background. I work for product companies pretty much most of my life. I've been in the tech industry for about close to 19 years now, out of which the past 12 years have been in the consulting business. I've worked on plenty of enterprise software, and for the past 5 years I work for a company called Splunk as a senior staff instructor. And Splunk is one of the world's leading big data analytics company that deals with products that leverage machine learning, artificial intelligence, IoT, and automation. So today's discussion is going to be split into 3 parts. We're going to talk about what artificial intelligence is. We're then going to talk about what exactly are the applications for artificial intelligence. And finally, we're going to take a look at a demo. I always believe in demonstrating every subject that I discuss. Without a demo, it's just me yapping for the next 45 minutes, and that will be pretty useless to you. So I will try and show you how AI works in action. So I do have a Splunk server that is set up and ready to go. So I will actually demonstrate how exactly AI is going to help leverage business. All right. But before I get started, I would like to ask a very, very, very important question to everybody in this session. Right? Is there anybody in this session who does not understand Tamil? Tamil புரியாதவங்க யாராவது இருக்கீங்களா? North Indian students, Northeast students. எனக்கு தமிழ் தெரியாது. I don't understand Tamil. Anyone who does not understand Tamil in this session? There are 101 people. Okay, there's one student who does not understand Tamil. All right, fair enough. So, in line with making sure that everybody gets the communication, unfortunately, today our session will be completely in English. Right? Okay, so like I said, there are three aspects of this discussion. We are going to discuss what is artificial intelligence, and we are going to discuss what are all the applications for artificial intelligence, and finally we'll see a working demo. I will try to show you at least one demo. If I have time, I'll try to show you more than one. I'll try to show you two different demos. Now, what exactly is artificial intelligence? Well, I'm going to start with a very small story from my own career history. I don't remember what this movie is, but there is a Tamil movie that came out in the past 3-4 years, wherein the villain tells the hero that he's going to tell him a story. ஒரு கதை சொல்ல போறேன் sir, something like that. I don't remember that movie. It's like a cop. The hero is a cop, and then the villain is like a good villain, something like that. Not sure if anybody remembers that movie, but that is how this lecture is going to be. Right? I'm going to start off with a small story of how this came about to be. So let's rewind back to 2004. In 2004, I was working for this company called CA. CA, it's called CA now, but back in the days, it used to be called Computer Associates. Computer Associates is like a very, very old company. It's a titan of a company. It's a big company. The way by which Computer Associates actually grew to be such a big company is by actually acquiring other smaller and medium-sized companies. So they had a huge product portfolio, and I used to work for the storage and recovery management portion of the business. So I was a support engineer with Computer Associates. So what was I doing in Computer Associates? Well, we used to sell a backup product. The product used to back up, data on servers, and my job was to essentially provide technical support to help customers correctly configure the product, or when the product was not working as expected, to help resolve and address issues and fix problems that customers had with the product. Nothing fantastic, right? It's just a regular tech support job like any other tech support job in any IT company. Well, unfortunately, 2 years after working for this company, very unfortunately, I got promoted. Now, why is it unfortunate that I got promoted? I got promoted, and when I got promoted, I used to be on the escalation tier, which means only the most difficult problems that are not solved in the level 1 of tech support used to come to me, which means I had to constantly troubleshoot extremely difficult problems. Now, one of the things that we used to do when we used to troubleshoot these problems is we used to collect logs from customers. So what exactly is a log? A log is nothing but it's usually a simple text file that any computer program is going to write, and that text file will contain every action, every activity that that application has undertaken since the time either the computer was started or the application was started. Alright? Now, when you collect logs and when you read logs, what happens is you will get to know what has happened in the past, right? And what is currently happening in the present, so that you can understand what is the nature of the problem, right? And you can try and help resolve that problem, fix that problem for that customer. Normally, customers, a lot of them will be in a hurry, they'll be in a rush, they'll not read the documentation for the product properly. So they might call and say, hey, you know what, this backup is not working as designed. I have a rotation backup job and it's not working as designed. Well, if the backup job is not working as designed, then something is wrong. What is wrong? We need to figure out. Maybe the customer has not configured the backup correctly. Maybe the customer does not have the correct amount of resources available to run the backup. Something like that. Some problem will be there, and we will need to identify what the problem is, and we will need to fix that particular problem. So one of the biggest problems while procuring log files from customers is that customers will upload log files to an FTP server because logs will be very, very big. You cannot attach them in an email. And an ordinary Exchange debug log will be something to the tune of 1 gigabyte. So if you have 1 GB of Exchange logs, guess what is going to happen? There's no way you can attach it in an email. You upload it to an FTP site. Even uploading it to an FTP site is very difficult. You compress it with WinZip or WinRAR and then you upload it to an FTP site. When you compress it with WinZip or WinRAR, it will be a very small file size because usually text files will give you 99% compression. So it will be like a 7 megabyte, 10 megabyte file that will be uploaded to a FTP site. When I download it and open that log file and I go ahead and I analyze that log file, I have another problem. The other problem is the customer has sent the log file, but even though I have the most powerful workstation at work, back in those days I used to have a Dell Optiplex GX 160. That's the machine I had, and that machine used to have 4 gigabytes of RAM. It used to run Windows XP. It had 4 gigabytes of RAM. It used to have 180 gigabytes of hard drive space, which was pretty big at that point in time. So what used to happen was that it used to take around 25 minutes for me to open this 1 gigabyte text file. So what will I do? I will open the log file only during dinner time or during lunch time, and I will go to dinner, eat dinner quickly in 20 minutes, come back, and by the time I come back the log file would have opened, and I will have to read thousands and thousands and thousands of lines of logs. That used to be a time consuming effort, right? So if I start at 8:30 p.m. in the night till 10:30 p.m. till my shift ends, right, I will need to read these logs to understand what is going on. Now, why am I talking about all of this problem that I faced in 2004? What is the connection with all of these incidents in my workspace in 2004 with the subject that we are discussing today, which is artificial intelligence? There is a clear connection. You see, back in those days, those big complex log files that we used to download from customers, which used to be so difficult to understand, we did not know the nature of the problem that we were dealing with. The nature of the problem that we were dealing with back in 2004, today we understand what that problem is. That is called big data. That is exactly what it is. We were dealing with big data. The only problem is that the industry had not yet understood what big data was comprehensively. We were dealing with big data and we did not have any tools to address the issue of big data. So what did we used to do? We used to write some small Java scripts, Java applets or Python scripts or even shell scripts to parse this log and convert it to some understandable format instead of having some random gobbledygook. Right? So as and when we used to write scripts, we used to evolve these scripts to understand a variety of logs, right? This is very simple JavaScript programming or Python script programming, nothing sophisticated, easy. Anybody can learn this by watching YouTube videos for 2 hours. Now, what we did was we started writing scripts, and after we started writing scripts, we started implementing small mathematical algorithms. These mathematical algorithms used to compute the pattern of problems that were occurring in the environment. So because we now understood a pattern as to how this problem was going forward, guess what is happening? We now have a good idea as to what the logs are about. We can parse these logs and put them to an Excel file or put it to a SQL server where we can create crystal reports out of it. So all sorts of things we can do with this particular piece of information. Now, with this piece of information, we used to analyze customer logs and we used to understand what the problem was, and we used to resolve customer problems. Now, this process of writing simple code to do a logical or a pattern analysis of data, today, what we used to do in a very rudimentary way back then in 2004, today it is called machine learning, right? Machine learning is the process of using computer code and implementing some kind of mathematics and logical processing so that you can get to understand what exactly is the logic in a particular piece of data, and you can also get to understand what exactly is the pattern of behaviors that is happening in a particular piece of data. So as and when we used to write these programs to analyze data, we started developing our own algorithms. So initially, to start with, we would use simple mean, median, mode averages. Then we will use standard deviation. But over a period of time, the mathematics required to analyze these logs started getting more and more sophisticated, right? So we used to write something to the tune of, let's say we used to write regression algorithms, right? We used to write simple calculus, right? Or trigonometry to understand what was going on, to analyze vectors, right? And how a particular design was feasible or not feasible in a network. So all of this, right, put together became our algorithms. So our algorithms are the powerhouse behind machine learning. Now, as and when this technology improved, right, we started building something called neural networks, right? What is a neural network? Well, a neural network is nothing but, you see, if you take a brain, if you take any brain, you take an animal brain or a human brain, the human brain or the animal brain is essentially, at the end of the day, a neural network. Why are we calling an animal brain or the human brain a neural network? What is the reason to call it a neural network? You see, our brain is comprised of billions of cells called neurons. These neurons, they are all interconnected in a network. The way they communicate information from one portion of the brain to another portion of the body is by essentially using very small, minuscule, microscopic electrical impulses. So any animal brain, including the human brain, at the end of the day, it is actually called a neural network because it is a network of millions and billions of neurons, and these neurons are working together to accomplish a particular task. In computing terminology, specifically in artificial intelligence, a neural network is nothing but independent pieces of data sets, right? Coming together to make a big self-aware data model that can operate within the context of its own existence. That is what neural networks is from a artificial intelligence point of view. One of the advantages of neural networks is that we can come up with something called predictive analysis. What exactly is predictive analysis? Predictive analysis is trying to ascertain what is going to be the state of data in the future based on past behavior and current state. That is what predictive analysis is. So on the whole, artificial intelligence is powered by big data, right? Using tools like machine learning, which is powered by algorithms that allows us to build neural networks, which in turn allows us to get use cases like predictive analysis. This is what artificial intelligence is in very, very, very simple terms. Alright, so we have spent the past, 18 minutes talking about what is artificial intelligence. The obvious question is, what is the use for artificial intelligence? Where is artificial intelligence applied? Well, artificial intelligence is applied in a bunch of places. I can keep giving you so many different examples. I can keep mentioning so many different use cases. But I'm going to try and make things pretty simple for you here. And I'm going to give you 5 different examples in 5 different industry, right? Which is going to demonstrate how artificial intelligence works, right? The first example that I'm going to talk to you about is transaction monitoring. What exactly is transaction monitoring? Well, let me give you an example for transaction monitoring. So let's take an e-commerce website like Amazon or Flipkart. So you go to an e-commerce website like Amazon or Flipkart. You know, right now there is a pandemic, so the entire state of Tamil Nadu is in a lockdown. Unfortunately, you can't go outside. Even if you go outside, the shops are open only 4 hours every day, which means the shops are crowded. So let's say you're ordering some groceries or some vegetables using Amazon shopping. So you use your debit card or your credit card and you order some vegetables and some groceries, right? And halfway through the ordering process, the money is taken from your account, but the order is not successful. The order fails. So your money is now gone, right? So you've lost money. You've lost some 1,500 something rupees. Your order on Amazon.com has failed, but the money has been taken from your debit card or credit card or bank account, whatever it might be. In this instance, what will you do to get your money back? What will you do? What are your options? Any idea what your options are? You can answer in the chat window or you can unmute and speak up as well. How would you get your money back from Amazon? What is the way to get your money back that you have lost? What will you do? Anybody? Nobody knows? Nobody's tried purchasing anything from making a complaint, says Amrish Mano. Okay. Rohit says cancel the order. Okay. Alright. Any other options? How would you make a complaint, Amrish? Where would you go to make a complaint? What is the process of making a complaint? In your order. Yeah, I understand that it's in your order, but how would you make that complaint? Talk to customer service, says Rohit. Excellent. Alright. So when you talk to customer service, usually what the customer service representative will say is that they will say something along the lines of, oh, don't worry sir, don't worry ma'am. Your money will be refunded to your credit card or to your bank account in 7 to 10 working days. Have you ever heard this excuse? Have you ever heard this statement from customer service representatives? If you call them and talk to them about a lost transaction, they'll usually say this. Your money will be returned to you in 7 working days, 10 working days, 8 working days, 3 working days, something like that. How are these people so sure? How are they able to ascertain that you are definitely going to get your money back within that stipulated period of time? They're able to tell you that because there is a technology called transaction monitoring, which is running on the app. This transaction monitoring has a very small AI module or a machine learning module. Its job is to make sure that every order ID, every time you order something, an order ID is generated, is successfully mapped to a transaction ID. So the problem here is this, right? In your case, you have successfully ordered, but there is no successful order ID, but there is a transaction ID where money is being taken from your account. So every order where there is no proper order ID for a proper transaction ID, right? That particular item is going to be cancelled. They're going to cancel your order and refund your money back to you. That is how transaction monitoring works. This is one of the most simplest use cases for AI. All that it is doing is it is checking for a bunch of parameters and conditions between two different systems. One is the banking transaction system and the other one is the ordering system. That's all. Another place where AI is widely used is predictive analytics. Predictive analytics is the process of understanding where the data set is going to be in the near future based upon past behavior and past data and current data. So how exactly is it that predictive analytics works? Well, today predictive analytics is actually helping the stock market big time. Gone are the days where people go to the stock floor and they yell at the top of their voice to make a trade. That is not going to happen anymore. People don't do that anymore. All of these stock transactions, they're all happening on a computer today. They're all happening on a computer today simply because computers are a lot much more faster in negotiating a transaction. And not just that, they're able to predict what's going to be the price of a future commodity like a stock or a debt unit, like a debenture or an equity or even a debt bond, whatever it might be, mutual fund, right? And they're able to intelligently navigate and understand the data and implement what is required. Make the sale in a successful manner. Another use case for artificial intelligence is media and entertainment. Today, especially with the pandemic lockdown in place, everybody is going to make use of OTT applications. Everybody has Netflix or Savan or Geo Music or Spotify, MX Player. All these OTT apps are available, and all these OTT apps leverage artificial intelligence on your phone. These apps, they observe your default behavior, try to understand what kind of movies and music and series you're watching, and based on your current behavior and past behavior, they automatically try to predict and they automatically try to recommend whatever kind of content that you might potentially like. So that's a very, very widely used use case for artificial intelligence in media and entertainment. The next use case is healthcare, both in diagnosis and in treatment. Right? In healthcare, AI is playing a huge role. Let me ask you a simple question. Generally speaking, if a person is, diagnosed with cancer, right? What kind of treatment is actually recommended for a cancer patient? Generally speaking, what kind of treatment is recommended for a cancer patient? Any ideas? Answers in the chat window, or you can unmute and speak up. What treatment is generally recommended for cancer patients? Any idea? Generally speaking, what kind of treatment is recommended for cancer patients? Chemotherapy, okay. Good answer. What else? What other treatment is recommended for cancer patients apart from chemotherapy? Any other options today's cancer patients have? Radiation. Okay, all right, excellent. Radiation. So let's work with radiation as an example. Radiation therapy, barely 15 years ago, used to be so bad that people used to die faster because of the radiation compared to cancer. I remember this very, very vividly. I used to have a relative who had cancer. This person went in for chemotherapy and radiation therapy. They successfully recovered from cancer. Unfortunately, they passed away a few weeks after recovering from cancer because the radiation therapy took a huge toll on their body. The radiation therapy not only burnt the cancer cells, but also severely affected healthy tissues surrounding the cancer cells. And this sent this person into a state of shock, and it eventually killed this person. Today, radiation therapy is one of the most safest forms of therapy. How did this come about to be? How did radiation therapy come about to be so safe? Radiation is very harmful, right? We are literally using some kind of harmful gamma radiation to burn cancer cells, right? How is this now so safe? It was not safe 10 years ago. Today, what we are doing is we are injecting a pharmaceutical grade dye. This pharmaceutical grade dye, what it does is it only sticks to cancer cells. It does not stick to healthy human tissue. And our radiation equipment, so basically we use a radiation gun. The radiation gun that is used today, what it is able to do is it is able to detect only those cells, right, that are marked by the dye, and it burns only those cancer cells that are marked by the dye. It does not burn any of the healthy human tissue. So this radiation therapy is actually exceptionally good today. So today, even chronic cancer patients who are in stage 3 and some people even in stage 4 of cancer, a lot of them are able to successfully recover and come back, and they're able to survive simply because of the fact that healthcare, both diagnosis and treatment, is now powered by artificial intelligence. The other use case here is IT security, right? I remember way back in 1995, 1996, when we used to have computers and when we used to have virus infections on computers, those viral infections on computers, we have to manually take the computer to a computer shop, and we manually had to go ahead and we had to disinfect that computer, format the hard drive, and then come back home with the CPU unit and fix it. This is no longer required. Today, AI is able to automatically detect using antivirus software that you've installed on your PC. It's able to automatically detect whatever malware that you might have. Not only detect the malware, but also clean the malware while quarantining the infected machine from connecting to the network. In fact, most corporate companies today use such kind of security content management software, wherein if you're infected by a threat, that threat is automatically excluded and it is put into a sandbox and it is fixed for you. Now, when it comes to AI, we use a lot of algorithms to do our machine learning work. So there are so many algorithms that I can talk about, but for the purpose of simplicity and being short, I'm going to talk to you about 4 different algorithms that I have in my server today. I've set up a Splunk server where I want to demo artificial intelligence to you today. In order for me to do that, what I've done is I have configured 4 different algorithms on this machine. I've configured 2 categories of algorithms. One is a regression analysis category, wherein I've got simple, regular, repeating patterns that are being analyzed by linear regression. I'm also analyzing complex unnormalized data using random forest regressor. And any complex data but with patterns, I am using the gradient boosting regressor. Those are the 3 regression analysis algorithms I have. I also have one category analysis algorithms which is used to predict the future service health score as a label. So that is being done with the help of logistic regression. So what I want to do is I want to stop talking and I want to show you a demo. I want to show you how AI is going to work in an environment that I've configured. So how exactly does AI work? Well, I'm going to go into my Splunk server. So in my Splunk server, I have something called IT Service Intelligence. It's a product that does infrastructure management. So I have a lot of IT infrastructure in a company. I want to monitor this infrastructure, and in order for me to monitor this infrastructure, I've configured a service to monitor this infrastructure. The service that I am very interested in monitoring is the online sales service. I want to know what exactly is the health of my online sales, because I'm a company that is selling products online. If my sales goes down, then I am in big time trouble. I cannot afford my sales to go down. If I figure out that my sales is going to go down in the near future, I'm going to run some promotions and marketing campaigns to fix that proactively. So as you can see in front of you, I actually have, what I have in front of me is I have an online sales service. This online sales service, what it does is it monitors the online sales in the environment. And because it monitors the online sales in the environment, it has a sales health score. The health score is 75%. Why is the health score 75%? Because there are some KPIs, key performance indicators, contributing towards the performance of this particular service that I am monitoring. Now, because I'm monitoring online sales, right, I can see what has happened in the past 60 minutes. I can see what is going to be my purchase, right, in the past 60 minutes. And I can go ahead and I can understand what is going on. Understandably, my health score is at 75 right now. I am curious what's going to be my health score 30 minutes from now. Now, if I want to know what's going to be my health score 30 minutes from now, I need to make use of artificial intelligence and analyze this data for me to understand what's going to happen in the next 30 minutes. So for that, I need to configure this service. Remember, right now the service is at 75%. So I'll go to this service configuration, and what I will do is this online sales service, I can edit this online sales service, and when I edit this online sales service, I already have a predictive analytics capability in my server. So I am going to use the predictive analytics capability to analyze the data here. So let me choose an algorithm called regression. I will use the last 14 days worth of data, and then I will select an algorithm, linear regression, and hit train. Now look at this split for training test 70-30. What is the split for training and test 70-30? Well, I'm telling Splunk to make use of 70% of the data to train the algorithm and 30% of the data to test the algorithm. As you can see, it's spinning here saying creating model. That creating model is essentially what it's doing is it's creating a data model. It's creating a data model using the data that I have with me at this point in time to understand what the future sales is going to be like. Now, understandably, I'm using the last 14 days worth of data, which means it's going to take some time for this to complete. So we need to patiently wait. There's no other thing that we can do at this point in time. It's going to complete and say, completed. There you go. That model was created. Now I'll use the next formula algorithm, which is a random forest regressor. I'm clicking train again, and I'm training the second algorithm to analyze this particular data as well. This will also take some time. I need to sit and wait for this to complete. It will take about 1 or 2 minutes for it to complete. So let's wait. The third algorithm I'm going to train is gradient boosting regressor. Let me hit the train button and wait for this algorithm to complete as well. This again will take some time. It will take 1 or 2 minutes for it to complete. So essentially, when I finish this algorithm, I would have finished all the 3 different algorithms that I talked about in the regression analysis category. So right now I'm running gradient boosting regressor. So let me wait for the gradient boosting regressor to complete. It will take a few seconds to complete from now. So hopefully it will complete and come back. That's completed. Now I'm going to choose the category analysis, that is classification. I'll choose logistic regression and hit train. Now this algorithm, the last algorithm, the 4th algorithm, logistic regression, this is also going to complete, but sometimes it will error out because not all data needs to fit all algorithms. So sometimes the category analysis algorithm does not work well for this data, so it might fail. There you see, it failed. Now scroll down and you'll find some interesting things here. Splunk has automatically determined that random forest regressor is the recommended algorithm. Why did Splunk come to this conclusion? It came to this conclusion because of the math. Look, we are having a R square. R square is the measure of how well the model approximates to the real data. RMSE's root mean squared error. That's nothing but the actual difference between the prediction versus the actual data that comes about to be in half an hour. Right? So that's what I'm basically doing over here. And then I have some additional information like my predicted average case service cell score and worst case service cell score. So I'll go ahead and hit the save button. Once I hit save, remember right now the service health, right, of this particular online sales service is set at 66. So if I go to Predictive Analytics, I'll go to Dashboard and then I'll run Predictive Analytics. Already my service has come down to 66 right now. Okay, let me see what's going to be the case in half an hour from now. I'll select an online sales service. In the online sales service, I'll select the model that is recommended, which is a random forest regressor. There you go. It says it's going to be 66.93%. I can even do a cause analysis, and the cause analysis will tell me which KPIs are going to contribute in which manner for the service health score to deteriorate or to improve. Again, this will run its model and it will come up with its own model and it will show you what's going to be the future predicted score for all the KPIs as such. Now, this is how AI works in a very, very, very simple manner to deliver whatever functionality that it is entrusted with. Now, what are all the future possibilities for AI? Well, there's plenty of future possibilities for AI. I can give you a lot of examples, but one of the most interesting examples that I want to talk to you about today is Neuralink. Neuralink is a fantastic company. It's run by Elon Musk. Elon Musk is the same celebrity CEO who runs the Tesla electric car company. He's also the same person who runs SpaceX, which is the space exploration company. Right? So Neuralink, what it does is it is a device. It's a very small chip that can be implanted into the cerebral cortex of the brain to stimulate dead portions of the brain. So essentially what we can do is we can try and reanimate activity to assist people with disabilities. We can manage people with palliative care. So there are endless applications. In fact, last week I read the news that there was a monkey, specifically a chimpanzee, that was implanted with Neuralink. That chimpanzee could actually play video games by just looking at the screen, by thinking with its head, right? Because Neuralink is directly connected to the game console. So it's very interesting. Go to YouTube and look up Neuralink. There is plenty of, interviews of Elon Musk that is available that you can look up. Technologies like Neuralink are extremely exciting. We are going to see more and more and more use cases like Neuralink for AI. Everything has AI today. If you buy one of those Xiaomi or Redmi, whatever phones, those phones contain AI software today, which actually helps with the autofocus of that particular phone, right? So it's an exceptionally good piece of technology. Today, your weather forecasting, right? IMD forecasts weather and says that it's going to rain, it's going to shine. All of that happens via AI. We are using machine learning and AI to deduce what's going to happen in the near future on the basis of past predictive models and current behavior of weather trends. It's exactly the same for the stock market, right? It's exactly the same for the healthcare industry, for hospitals. It's exactly the same for national security, right? Today, we are actually deploying AI-based drones at the border to protect, international borders. That's what countries are doing, right? You no longer have to patrol the border area with several trucks or jeeps or whatever with several armed men. You basically just go ahead and make use of aerial surveillance equipment like drones, which have AI that can detect what exactly is happening. In fact, there's a movie called Sicario. It's a Hollywood movie that came out in 2018. If you watch that movie, you'll understand that the American Immigration Authority, they actually track, illegal immigration across the border from Mexico into the United States using thermal cameras and artificial intelligence that automatically identifies if there is some illegal individual that is, crossing the border unethically. So there's plenty of use cases. It's 12:51 right now. I've actually gone 1 minute past my time. That's because I set my clock incorrectly. I should have set up my clock for 45 minutes because we started 5 minutes late, which is okay. But I'm going to allot the last 8 minutes of this discussion for question and answers. So if you have questions, now is a good time to, share those questions. So you can post those questions in the chat window, or you can post those questions, you can unmute and speak up, and you can ask those questions as well in voice. Any questions so far? If there aren't any questions, we can conclude today's session and call it a day.
One student asking one question. What are the negative effects of AI?
What are the negative effects of AI? Well, the negative effects of AI are exactly the same as any other piece of technology. Today you have technology available at your hands, right? You have a very powerful piece of technology in your hands called as the mobile phone. You can use your mobile phone to look up the internet and read interesting tidbits. You can use your mobile phone to log into the COVID app to book a vaccine appointment. You can use your mobile phone to essentially make beautiful photography, right, and share your art. But you can also use your mobile phone for other destructive purposes as well. You can use your mobile phone to download gambling applications and gamble online. You can use your mobile phone applications to, invade the privacy of other people by taking pictures of them when they don't consent to it, when they're not looking. And all these things happen. Similarly, the applications for AI is also endless, right? If governments can use AI to track illegal immigration, I'm pretty sure criminals can also use AI to conduct illegal activities as well. So it's just another tool that has a wide variety of use cases. So it has, good use cases, and then in the wrong hands, it also has exceptionally bad use cases. There's a question from Shane Ratish. Which programming language is most suitable for writing AI applications? Generally speaking, it's Python and R, but I've seen a lot of Java applications and C# applications written with AI behavioral standards. How do I choose the best algorithm for my dataset? That depends upon the actual dataset, right? This is simple mathematics. It's like asking what statistical algorithm will I use to solve a particular problem. Well, that depends on what problem you're trying to solve. If you're trying to solve a problem with establishing a trend, then you will use a basic algorithm like a mean median mode or standard deviation, something like that. If you're trying to fit a model to a gap, then you would use something like linear regression. So it depends upon the math. What problem are you trying to solve? So accordingly, you will use the appropriate, mathematical formula to solve that problem. It's a question of math, not a question of computing. Question from Rohit. Does AI reduce unemployment or increase employment? Okay. So I'm not sure how many of you have visited the city of Chennai, but if you come to Chennai and if you go somewhere near Voltax Road is very close to the central railway station. You will actually find Jatka horse carriages, right? In Tamil they call this Jatka Vandi. In English these are horse carriages, right? They are a novelty. Horse carriages are used even today, but in very obscure applications. But if we rewind back to barely 80 years ago, you will find hundreds of thousands of horse carriages in the country and very few cars or even motorcycles, right? Most transportation would be public transport, or it will be, horse carriages or bullock carts, right? So when the car was invented, when the car became mainstream, or when the motorcycle became mainstream, did it cause unemployment for people who are driving horse carts and bullock carts? Yes. Bullock carts and horse carts became absolutely irrelevant. But did it create an automobile industry which created hundreds of thousands of jobs where you sold motorcycles and sold cars and serviced cars and whatnot, advertised cars and whatnot? Yes. So any piece of technology is going to create massive unemployment. Any piece of technology is also going to create massive new employment opportunities. So my suggestion is, don't read newspapers regarding employment and AI. Newspapers today are the most useless piece of technology available. Newspapers do not know how to write about science and technology. If you want to read about STEM reporting, if you want to read about science, technology, engineering and mathematics, you should actually go to websites which publish research publications. You should go read peer-reviewed papers. Learn how to read peer-reviewed publications, right? Start with the summary. Learn how to understand peer-reviewed publications. You're spending a lot of time on your phone looking up WhatsApp and Facebook. You can also join a lot of WhatsApp and Telegram groups that discuss technology, that discuss reading papers, peer-reviewed scientific papers. right? Utilize your time to read science papers, because science papers are what are going to give you absolute facts about what is happening. AI or machine learning is not going to take away your jobs. It is not going to create massive unemployment. It is going to take away useless, redundant, boring jobs that we are doing repetitively over and again. And it is going to create interesting jobs that require human input in an innovative way. Random forest or decision tree, which one is the best? Well, that depends upon your data. So I need to take a look at the data. Without looking at data, it is completely irrelevant to say what algorithm is the best algorithm. So it depends upon the data that you're trying to fit the algorithm to. So the data model determines what algorithm you're going to use. Again, the same algorithm can be used efficiently or inefficiently, right? Algorithms are all about how do you pass the parameters to the algorithm. If you're inefficient in passing all the wrong parameters to the algorithm, then even a good algorithm is going to be useless in the hands of somebody who is inefficient. Can AI match human brain? I think we are comparing apples and oranges here. The human brain and AI are completely different purpose-built tools. The human brain is built for the survival of an organic species like a human being. AI is a simple tool that is invented to solve a particular problem. These two are not comparable. They are completely different tools for different use cases. So ideas such as AI can actually overpower human brains are completely unwarranted, at least at this point in time. Maybe they might be in the future, but right now, at least for the next 20 to 30 years, no, I don't see it happening. In the future, can AI read behaviors of human? Well, congratulations. AI has been doing that for the past 7 years already. AI has been reading your behavior on Facebook, on Instagram, on WhatsApp, right? Every place AI has been doing it. That is the reason why you're getting focused advertisements on Facebook. That is the reason why when you talk about vaccines, you immediately get advertisements about vaccines on Facebook. That is the reason why you're getting advertisements about vaccines on Google when you're talking about all of that. So can AI escape human control? Okay. You need to define what is human control so that I can answer this question correctly. So without defining what human control is, that question is very difficult to answer. Define what is human control and then I can answer whether or not AI can escape human control or not escape human control. What would you say are common AI misconceptions about AI? Common misconceptions about AI is basically it is some scary technology that is going to take over human beings and it is going to make slaves out of human beings. Well, that is a figment of imagination from Hollywood movies and science fiction novels, right? The only thing that has taken over humans, that has enslaved humans, that has put human beings under tyranny, that has put human beings through extreme amounts of grotesque pain and slavery and death and torture is other human beings with bad ideas. AI has never done any of these things. AI is a simple tool that is available for you to solve problems today, right? What problems you want to solve depends upon what use case you want to apply it to. That's all. It's as simple as that. How to choose a particular algorithm for a problem? Like I said, the algorithm depends upon the data set. You need to go ask this question to your maths teacher, right? If you go to your math teacher and you present a piece of data and you tell your math teacher, hey teacher, you know what? I want to solve this particular problem. What formula should I use? What algorithm should I use? Then your math teacher will be able to justify what algorithm should be used for a particular data set and why that particular algorithm is the best algorithm for that particular data set. So if you want me to tell you which algorithm needs to be used for what data set, right, you need to tell me what that data set is, number one, and number two, what problem you are trying to solve, and number three, how you are trying to solve it, in what methodology you are trying to solve it. Because the same algorithms can be implemented in multiple different ways to solve the same problem. So These three pieces of information are necessary for me to address which algorithm is the best for what kind of problem. What is generality in AI? I'm afraid I cannot answer this question because I am not technically qualified to answer this question. My knowledge of AI is all from a product implementation point of view. I think this is purely STEM related a question. Unfortunately, I don't think I am qualified to answer that question. Sorry.
Any more question, students? No, sir. Conclude.
Okay, all right, excellent. So if you are done with the Q&A session, we can conclude today's session.
Okay.
Thank you, sir, for your stimulating speech on artificial intelligence. It was lively, engaging, educative, and fulfilling because of your presence. To give a perfect end to this forenoon event, I now request Dr. K. Ramanan of TSC Department ICT Coordinator to deliver the words of gratitude.
Okay, thank you, madam. So I am here to present the vote of thanks for today's power seminar. I would like to thank our chief guest, Mr. Dilip Muralidharan, for enlightening us with their knowledge. This power seminar was very interesting things. It gave deep insights into the topic and also related some interesting facts. Once again, I would like to thank the chief guest, sometimes their busy schedule and enlightening us with their knowledge. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you for all of your time and effort. Thank you. Have a good day. Goodbye.
Okay. Next, I would also thank to our Managing Director, Dr. Neela Vishnu, and our college principal, Dr. Rajesh sir, for giving permission to organizing this power seminar. Thank you, sir. And also, I would like to thank ICT Academic Relationship Manager and team for Mr. Rajkumar for arranging this power seminar to our college. So thank you very much, sir. And also I would like to thank to Ms. Meenakshi Madam for giving the Master of Ceremony and the introduction to the chief guest, and all the faculty members and students to attend these seminars. So thank you very much. I would end my speech here. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all for your time and patience. We are extremely privileged to have you all here today. Once again, I thank our resource person, Mr. Dilip Muralidharan, for his wonderful seminar. It's been our pleasure to host this event, and I wish you all a pleasant day. Thank you all.
Okay. Thank you, madam.